Hey crypto fam, welcome back to the channel. Your boy is back with another XRP deep dive. I hope you're having an absolutely amazing day, no matter where you are in this beautiful world of ours. So let's jump right into it. We're talking XRP today, and boy do we have some things to discuss. Right now, we're looking at the one-day chart, and XRP is sitting at around $2.40. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's dumping. And yeah, you're not wrong, but here's the million-dollar question. Is this the bottom, or are we heading even lower? Honestly, only time will tell, my friends. But here's what I find really interesting. If you zoom out and look at the 7-day chart, we're actually holding up pretty darn well since that crash happened. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we maintain this price level before the next big breakout hits. Addressing common concerns. Now, I'm still expecting a solid rebound on XRP, but let's talk about the elephant in the room, Bitcoin. We're back down under $111,000. And guess what? XRP is still following Bitcoin's lead. I see so many people in the comments saying, why is only XRP dipping right now? Guys, come on, the entire market is dipping. It's like some of you have tunnel vision and can only see XRP while ignoring every other cryptocurrency out there. Here's the reality check. When Bitcoin dumps, the whole market dumps with it. That's just how this game works. Current market dynamics. Speaking of market movements, Trump just announced that the US is in a trade war with China, and we're also in a currency war right now. It's like a race to see who can back their currency with gold first. Whoever wins that race, their currency is probably going to absolutely skyrocket. But here's the thing that drives me crazy. Every single time they start talking about trade wars and tariffs, you know exactly how the markets react. It's like everyone just wants a break from this madness.
The market starts looking good and bam, tariff talk again. Sometimes it feels like straight up market manipulation, doesn't it?
Technical analysis and predictions. Looking at the charts, XRP seems like it wants to revisit that $2 level. Now, there's definitely a chance we'll see $2 again, but honestly, I'm more optimistic that we're going to hold strong from here. The market fundamentals for XRP look really solid right now, and here's my prediction. Once this breakout begins, people are going to completely forget about this rough patch we're going through. You know what's funny about crypto? On red days, nobody wants to believe in the parabolic move that's coming. But the second the market turns green, everyone's back to shouting, XRP to $10,000! We see this pattern every single time. And speaking of predictions, I'm seeing some absolutely wild calls for XRP lately. The same people who were calling for $10 XRP are now saying $20 plus XRP. And you know what? When you look at everything that's building up for this cryptocurrency, those numbers might not be as crazy as they sound. Community insight. I came across this brilliant post from Crypto Reviewing that I had to share with you guys. He said something that really got me thinking. You know what would be hilarious? Alt season sending altcoins to the moon right when everyone has already given up. Think about that for a second. We just witnessed the largest liquidation event of all time. The majority of traders are completely wrecked. What better time to send the market to the moon? The strategic perspective. Now, realistically, it's going to take some time for the market to recover. But here's the kicker. Altcoins have been consolidating for years now. Many are barely even up this cycle. That's exactly why so many people were expecting alt season to have already arrived. Many thought they'd be retired on a private yacht in the Bahamas by now. But that's precisely why alt season hasn't happened yet. Too many people were ready for it.
Market maker psychology. Think about it like you're a market maker for a second.
What's the best way to extract maximum money from the market? Simple. Liquidate investors, buy altcoins at ridiculously cheap prices, then send the crypto market to the moon right after. Many traders would be sitting on the sidelines. Many would FOMO in at the top. The brutal truth about market manipulation. And then what happens? They dump on everyone's heads for insane profits and kick off the bear market. As brutal as it sounds, it's actually a genius move. Cruel? Absolutely, but it makes perfect sense from a market maker's perspective. Don't be surprised if this exact scenario plays out next. Here's something that's going to blow your mind. There are so many people who aren't going to experience the real alt season. They're going to sell way too soon. Once everyone gets euphoric about crypto, only a handful of people will still be holding. Most will have already sold their entire bag. This is why I always tell you guys, don't sell too soon. You're going to have people calling the top over and over again. You absolutely cannot follow what other people are saying. How to spot the real top. Want to know when the actual top might be in? Look around at what's happening with XRP when that time comes. Pay attention to what's going on with the US government. Are they really promoting crypto? I'm talking about seriously hyping it up, because that's when you know the top might actually be in. The ETF game changer. But here's what really worries me in the best way possible. The amount of institutional money that's going to flow into these ETFs. This isn't going to be some short-lived pump, folks. We're talking about consistent money flowing in month after month after month. So here's my question. How does XRP top out in January or February if the ETFs go live in November? I'm thinking XRP is going to run way longer than January or February.
I honestly think this bull run is going to last into the summer of next year. We're going to see new all-time high after new all-time high because of institutional money. The regulatory clarity factor. And when you couple that institutional money with regulatory clarity, which we're supposed to have by the end of this year, things get really interesting. Although, let's be real, that clarity will probably get delayed as well. Everything seems like it's setting up for an even bigger play in 2026. Not to say that XRP won't already be in double digits by then. Most people will be selling day after day, thinking the top is in. A pullback happens and everyone wants to sell because they think we're heading into bear market territory. But in reality, we're just getting started on an extended run. This cycle is different. I'm not worried that the bear market has started. This cycle has proven to be different in every single way. October became Downtober. Altcoins didn't break out at the exact same time as previous cycles. Bitcoin made new all-time highs before the halving. The 4-year cycle? It doesn't exist anymore. I think we need to completely erase the 4-year cycle thesis. This cycle is going to be way longer than people expect. Extended timeline prediction. I've mentioned this before, but I think we're currently in Q3 of 2019 equivalent. That means we have about 1.5 to 2 years left to go. Now, I do think the cycle will be over for some cryptocurrencies way before next year. Maybe by the end of this year. Bitcoin might have its major run-up sometime at the end of this year, possibly extending into January. But I don't see it going beyond that. The ETF money shift. Everyone's talking about ETF money inflows for Bitcoin, but that's only because right now you have Bitcoin and Ethereum options. Once you start having Solana, XRP, HBAR, and these other options available, that money is going to shift away from Bitcoin. Nobody wants to believe it, but I see it happening. The faster we flush out the weak hands, the faster we can resume the uptrend to new all-time highs. This insight comes from Eza, and he's absolutely right. The second you sell is when this market will turn around. We've seen this happen to so many people in the past. I remember back in the 2021 run, people were saying, I just sold XRP at $1.10, and then it went on to reach $1.92. Nobody thought XRP was going to hit $1.92, especially not with the Ripple versus SEC case being brand new at the time. And remember, most exchanges were already delisting XRP back then, so a lot of people sold that run way too soon as well. But here's the crazy part. People were predicting $10 XRP in that run before the Ripple versus SEC case even started. Here's something crucial. Capitulation doesn't mark the end. Let me take you back to 2017. XRP had a massive capitulation wick. And guess what happened 6 weeks later? It absolutely exploded to the upside and never looked back. We just had that same capitulation event on Friday. And now everybody's saying expect a parabolic move next. Now, I don't think it's going to take 6 weeks this time. I think something's going to get XRP moving much sooner. What will it be? We really don't know yet. Maybe the government reopens and they fast-track those XRP ETFs. That could really get things cooking. I'm still incredibly optimistic that XRP is going to start breaking out over the next week or two. Everyone's saying by the end of this month looks very promising for XRP to reach a new all-time high. Let's see if it happens. Brad Garlinghouse drops truth bombs. Speaking of promising developments, Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse had some incredible things to say recently. A federal judge made some comments about the SEC, and Brad's response was absolutely perfect. Brad was in DC and had some fantastic insights to share. Now, I'm not going to play that full 21-minute video of Brad that's going around on X. I don't want to bore you to death with that, but let me break down the key points for you.
And I mean, look, you had a federal judge, this is a quote, a federal judge said about the Gensler SEC, they are not following a faithful allegiance to the law. Yeah, that's pretty damning for a federal judge who happened to be appointed by Obama, that they would come out and say that about a Biden SEC. I don't think we will go back to that. And frankly, I think the ship has sailed. I think that you can't put the genie back in the bottle in the United States. I don't think you really could, even though Biden may have tried with Gensler. But I think now that we are where we are, we are seeing many banks lean in. But for years, the U.S. was a frozen market.
Right. The innovation exodus. Brad is absolutely right. It was a frozen market, and all that innovation was moving outside the United States. But here's the key takeaway. Brad said that ship has sailed. We're not going back to a crypto crackdown. Everything is still moving forward, and that's huge news for all of us. Clearing up the CEO confusion. Brad also addressed something that drives me crazy. People keep saying XRP has a CEO. Brad cleared this up perfectly, and I want you to hear exactly what he said.
Well, so I think to some degree, the whole lawsuit for Ripple was about what is Ripple, which is a privately funded company that raised venture capital and issued stock associated with that. Those are securities. What is XRP, which is a technology, an open source technology that is kind of native to our products. We use XRP in our product stack, but there are scores of other companies building in and around the XRP ecosystem. People will say things like, well, XRP has a CEO. And I'm like, who is it? Ripple has a CEO, that's me. There's scores, if not 100 other CEOs building around the XRP ecosystem. And I think that's when I hear people say that, I think, okay, they're not educated about what's going on. And so we need to educate people. Obviously, you see that in a number of other tokens where there's a very distributed, very open source community. People don't understand, Ripple does not control XRP. It is open source. There have been amendments passed to the XRP open source technology that we opposed. We were against them and they still passed. That's okay, that's open source technology. There's other things we have championed that have passed, but it takes 80% of the community approving those amendments, which Ripple doesn't have control of that.
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, if you were to define kind of what's a commodity versus a security, how would you do that?
Yeah, I'm going to do everything I can to dodge that question up here.
XRP has no CEO. Ripple has a CEO, which is Brad Garlinghouse. There's a massive difference.
Regulations don't stop innovation. Brad also addressed what happens if we don't get clear laws in the United States, and his answer was brilliant.
I'm wondering too, kind of dipping back into market structure here for a second. I mean, if the Senate doesn't get stuffed on market structure, you've said that you've already seen this increased interest in things like stablecoin in the markets. I mean, does that kind of put a freeze on things if there's no regulatory clarity coming from Congress this year, no certainty? Is that going to make it that much harder for a lot of the digital asset space to gain traction with companies, gain traction with banks?
So I think you asked the question in kind of a black versus white, and I think about it as gray. It depends upon the bank. It depends upon what people like Paul Atkins say publicly and put out as position papers on behalf of the SEC or CFTC. And I think it's kind of to be determined. But the more time that goes by, the better I think it is for the industry, period. Again, Ripple happens to be in a unique position, and that we fought a multi-year battle to get that clarity for XRP. And so that the number of people building in and around the XRP ecosystem grew quickly after that resolution was final, because like, oh, okay, this is now clear. I think the whole industry needs that. The whole industry needs to be able to lean in and build, whether you're building payment solutions, custody solutions, land title registry solutions, tokenizing commercial real estate. Like this tsunami is still coming, and I don't think there's anything that the U.S. federal government is going to do to stop that. Leaning in to provide clarity so that consumers are protected, companies know how to operate. The vast, vast, vast majority of entrepreneurs I know in crypto want to play by the rules. They're asking to understand what the rules are.
Here's why it doesn't really matter if we get that Clarity Act passed. Some banks are going to work with Ripple either way. It's just like institutional investors. Some act like retail investors and dive right in, while others won't come on board until there are regulations in place first. But here's the bottom line. You're not going to slow down innovation. The train is already in motion, and it's not stopping for anyone. The US playing catch-up. And here's the thing. The United States is playing catch-up to the rest of the world. So the banks in this country, they want to get on board as quickly as they possibly can, because they want that level playing field as well. The small bank revolution. Think about it. If you're a small community bank, how do you compete with JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs? These are massive institutions. You have to have something that's absolutely game-changing, and you need that first mover advantage. So picture this. A small community bank jumps on board with crypto, gets involved with RippleNet and XRP. Now they're offering their customers wire transfers in a matter of seconds, for less than a penny. That makes them incredibly competitive in the banking market. Plus, if they're offering crypto solutions, they're going to bring tons of new customers through the front door. It's a win-win situation. Two types of market players. But that's how the world works, folks. Some people absolutely have to have regulations before they even think about entering this space. Others will go all in either way, and that's exactly the opportunity we're seeing right now. Current market reality. Like I said at the beginning of this video, XRP is sitting at $2.41 right now. Are we going to see more downside? We really don't know yet. Tomorrow there might be more talk about tariffs on other countries, and we already know crypto doesn't like tariff discussions.
I just want this market to really start moving. I understand your frustration, trust me, but here's the golden rule. You don't give up on red days. Because the second you sell, the whales are sitting there waiting to buy your XRP. Institutions are ready to scoop up your bags. You want to stay in this game because you're going to make money in the end. It's going to happen. The parabolic rise is coming. We're going to see a parabolic rise in crypto, and I'm confident about that. Most people who bought their XRP at 50 cents or less, they're already sitting pretty in profit. Even if you bought at $1 and change, you're still in profit right now. Message to new investors. I understand some people new to crypto bought at $3 or higher, and you might be feeling stressed. But guess what? You're still going to make money. Do you really think XRP isn't going to achieve a new all-time high? Do you think it's not going to go into price discovery mode? Absolutely it's going to happen. When I look at this situation right now, it's like the institutions are getting exactly what they want. Cheap crypto. Trump talks about tariffs, and what do the institutions get? Discounted cryptocurrency. Final message. Don't sell on a red day, folks. Until that parabolic move happens, stay patient. The biggest gains in crypto come to those who can weather the storms and hold through the manipulation. This is exactly why I'm so bullish on XRP's future. The fundamentals are rock solid. The technology is proven, and the regulatory landscape is clearing up. We're not just looking at a pump.
We're looking at a fundamental shift in how the world views and uses XRP. The lesson here? Patience pays in crypto. The market will test your resolve, but those who hold through the manipulation and noise are the ones who see life-changing gains. What's your take on this small bank revolution? Do you think community banks adopting XRP could be the catalyst we've been waiting for? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if this analysis helped clarify the bigger picture for you, smash that like button and subscribe for more daily crypto insights. We're just getting started on this incredible journey. Remember, don't let the red days shake you out. The best is yet to come. Until next time, keep those diamond hands strong.